So I think we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you everyone for joining us. And Allie, if you'd like to go to the first slide. Maybe this slide should have been up first. As I have previously mentioned, by entering your name, your school name, and your email, that's your ticket for our drawing. And more information about that will come later in the presentation, but we do have some giveaway things today. And we encourage you to make sure that you have entered the information we need to contact you if you happen to be one of the lucky winners of one of our prizes today. So once again, the certificate for serving up great school meals can be found under the school meals program on our nutrition services website under training. You print your own certificate and fill in the date, the amount of time, which would be the number of CEUs that you are receiving for attending today's training. You can keep that certificate on file, or you can simply track in a log that you attended today's training. So enough on the certificate. We'll move on to the next slide. Okay. Once again, our housekeeping, use the chat box to ask your questions, turn your video camera on if it's available and you would like to have us be able to see you, and then mute your microphone during the presentation, which I think all of you are doing a great job doing today. Thank you so much. Just kind of a heads up that the National School Breakfast Week is fast approaching. It's March 8th through the 12th, and so mark your calendars for that. There's lots of free resources available on the School Nutrition Association website. So just wanted to give you a heads up that that's coming up, and it's a great time for maybe a little celebration centering around breakfast. So next slide. What's on the agenda today? Well, we are so happy to have guests, and Chad Moore from the USDA Foods Office will be one of our guests. We have representatives from the DoD Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program joining us. And then we have a panel of experts from companies, broker, from a manufacturer that will maybe provide us some insights into what to anticipate in regard to ordering food for the remainder of this school year and as we head into next school year. We'll have some information that you need to know, and Sarah will join us to provide a farm to school update. And at the end of the presentation, we'll have time for question and answers. So next slide. Chad, are you with us today? I'm extremely hopeful that Chad is out there. Chad, if you'd want to unmute your microphone, that'd be great.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Can hear you perfectly. Thank you so much for joining us. Chad is the coordinator of the USDA Foods program. It's administered by the Department of Health and Human Services. And Chad, thank you. We have questions and you have the answers. And so the first question on the slide is, what do food service directors need to be doing now in regards to USDA foods?
My answer to that would be planning their menus for next year so that they know how to fill out the USDA pre-order survey that is going to be opening later this week.
Wow. Okay, so tell us a little bit about the pre-order survey, because we have probably new managers on our Zoom today that don't know what a pre-order survey is?
Okay, so the pre-order survey is where we measure the demand for USDA foods. We were required by regulation to operate a request-driven ordering system. So this is where we gather school requests so that we can base what we order from the USDA on those requests. So when they log into CNP Web, they would click on program year 2022 and then click on the sponsor summary. And then from there, they would go to the surveys tab. And from there, they can edit the survey. And the survey is broken down by category. There'll be a category for fruits and vegetables, a category for red meats, and so on and so forth. And then within each category is a certain product, say, for example, 100, 158 ground beef, where they could request whatever number of cases they want to have delivered by each individual month of the school year. So they'd go through and plan that out for every product that's being offered for school year 2022.
Okay, great. And what's the time frame for completing the survey?
We'll be opening it later this week, hopefully, and we want to keep it open for probably the next 30 days or so.
Okay. Okay. Well, then with the next question, do you expect any changes in ordering and the delivery of USDA foods for the remainder of this school year? And do you have any insights for school year 21-22?
We are going to have at least three new items offered next school year. Strawberry yogurt, which is new for USDA foods in Nebraska. We're going to offer it in October and February, and hopefully we can build enough demand to bring in a full truckload in each of those months, because we are required to order full truckloads from the USDA. Also, we're going to try to build a truck for Gala apples in November and also fresh oranges in November. So be on the lookout for those items on the fruits and vegetables section of the USDA pre-order survey. And let me see, what else do we have here? We do have some surplus inventory that we're trying to move out before the end of the school year. So we ask that everybody look under the orders tab in CNP Web, where they can place a surplus order. And surplus orders are first come, first serve. They are available to everyone at this point, even if their entitlement is all used up, because we are placing all surplus inventory under bonus, which does not charge against entitlement. So if there are some things that you can use, we encourage you to order them so that we can have more room for all these new products that are coming in next school year. One other thing I wanted to mention is there is a possibility of opening up the favors account to a single account like we did last year to utilize unspent funds. We did have quite a few cancellations of normal USDA foods from the USDA, which returned money back into the state's account. So we're exploring the possibility of transferring that money into favors where it would be available for all the schools to use under a single account. So we will obviously send out an announcement if that decision is made.
Okay.
I think that's about all that I can think of at the moment. We will, one more thing, for school year 20, we applied for and received USDA funding to cover distribution charges. And we'll do that again this spring. We will request funding from the USDA to cover all of the charges that were incurred during federal fiscal year 2021 to date. So what that means is if we get the money from the USDA, we'll bump everybody's credits up in CNP Web so that they will offset distribution charges next school year.
Okay. Donna, Beth, do you want to take a look at the chat and see what questions have come in for Chad?
Sure. We have one that says, Chad, your emails look like spam or junk, so we ignore them because we're afraid to open them. Sometimes they don't even make it past our firewalls. How can this be changed?
You would probably have to change your firewall settings in order for our emails to come through. One thing I've done is I've realized that if I put a bunch of hyperlinks in my emails, they automatically get kicked out by some spam filters. So I try to keep hyperlinks at a minimum, maybe only 1 or 2, or maybe sometimes none at all in our emails. But I would, if I were you, I would try to set your email settings so that you are able to receive emails from dhhs.nebraskafooddistribution.gov. That way they won't get kicked out.
Okay, what if their IT department won't change their firewalls? They have you in their email or your email in there as a approved person.
Mm-hmm.
So what else can they
then
do?
you could probably try an alternate email address. If you want me to send it to a different email address, you can update that in the application section of CNP Web. So you would have a different email address to check.
Okay, thank you.
What else do we have in the chat for Chad?
If we signed up for favors dollars in the last year's survey but didn't use it, can it be used on other commodities?
Yes, you can send me an email and request that those funds be sent back to CNP Web. But at this point, it's really kind of a moot point because all of our surplus inventory is going to be bonus. So you really don't have to go through that step in order to order bonus or to order bonus and surplus inventory.
Okay. And this one is repeat again where to go to fill out the survey.
That would be www.cnpweb.org/Nebraska. Then you would enter username and password, select program year 2022, and then click on the surveys tab. We'll send an email out with all of those instructions.
Okay, last year money was added to the funds and favors. Will that be an option again this year? And if not, can we add money to favors?
It may be an option this year. It depends on how our entitlement at the state level shakes out a little later on. And if you have a positive entitlement balance right now, our policy has been to allow those funds to be transferred to DOD. So the answer is yes in both instances, with this maybe on the issue of opening it up as last year.
Chad, what would they do if they wanted to transfer to DOD? They would send you an email?
Yep, that's all
Okay.
it takes. If they don't have an account with DOD, it would have to be set up, which does take some time. But if they already have a DOD account, then it's really just takes a couple minutes for me to transfer the funds.
Okay.
Okay, Chad, do you anticipate an issue for getting cheese next year? This year, my request amount did not get totally fulfilled. That came from Mary Carmen.
Yeah, this year we had to, like I mentioned earlier, we had some trucks that were canceled, and that was due to some price increases in the market and also some COVID issues that we did not anticipate. So hopefully things will smooth out and we won't have to cancel any trucks. We'll do a better job of getting everything that's requested.
The next question, Chad, is what's your email address? And that is simply your first name dot last name at nebraska.gov.
That's correct. Chad.Moore, spelled M-O-H-R.
I put it in the chat box for you.
Okay.
Mel asked, do we need to tell you our DOD account number if we would want to transfer dollars to DOD?
Not necessary, but if you have it handy, it would, maybe help if I have a hard time finding. And sometimes these schools have names and favors that are different than our name in CMT Web, so it takes a little extra searching, but most time I don't need the account number.
Elaine, your question, I think we'll wait until we have our representatives from the DOD Fruits and Vegetables Program talk, because your question is, where do DOD fruits and vegetables come from? So we'll wait on that. And anything else? I don't see anything else in the chat box.
Mhm.
I had a question. I was updating my commodities book and I was going through the inventory pages and I was wondering, are we supposed to just inventory the brown box items that we get? Or do we have to do both the US Foods and brown box?
The USDA gives schools the option of having a single inventory. So under a single inventory, you don't have to track USDA foods separately from commercially purchased foods.
But they do have to inventory it, correct?
It's not a requirement of
Okay.
DHHS, but if
Okay.
it's something Department of Ed would have that,
Nope.
then I suppose so.
We don't.
Anything else for Chad?
There are some regulations I just thought of. I'm sorry. There is a regulation in 7 CFR 250, storage and inventory management of donated foods at the recipient agent level. So I'd have to review that about what specific requirements there are for inventory. But if you want to send me your email address, I'll get back to you on it.
I'm sure others will probably have that same question, Chad. So include our office also, and we can let our viewers know at the next Serving Up Great School Meals.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it, and we will move on to our next guest.
All right, thank you, Sean. Nice talking to you too.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Chad.
Thank you.
All right. Our next guest is Pat Scott and Karen Keaton. I haven't seen Karen yet, so hopefully she's here. They are from the Department of Defense Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program. And Pat is in the Philadelphia office at the national level, and Karen is in Colorado, and she's, I believe, our state representative. And I will turn it over to Pat. Pat, are you still with us? I know she's on her phone. Pat, can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yes, Pat, we can hear you.
Well, this is Karen.
Karen,
I've been
hi.
trying to get online.
Good,
I
good.
think
No, we can
Pat
see.
already
We can
has
hear.
it up. Well, I heard. I just did the *6 so that you could hear me. So at least you
Okay,
know that I'm here.
good.
I was
Yes.
waiting
No.
for Pat to get online.
Yeah, her name shows up, but I don't hear her. So if you want to go ahead and start,
Hi,
Okay.
can you hear me?
yes, now
Oh,
we can
there
hear
she
you,
is.
Pat.
Okay. Oh my goodness, technology escapes me every time. Okay. All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Pat Scott, and Karen Kenton is our forward-placed customer service rep in Colorado. You're probably trying to figure out what does DoD have to do with my school lunches. It's really based on a partnership that we've had with the USDA for 25 years now. It started out small and it just keeps growing every year. Basically, we're just a contractor for USDA. It's USDA money, it's state money that is used to fund the produce contracts that we award from our office in Philadelphia for produce vendors all around the U.S. to take care of the school lunches. So I believe the vendor in Nebraska is Greenberg Fruit Company, and Karen can absolutely fact check anything that I might mistake. And that contract ends in 2023. So it's an unusual kind of partnership, but it works. And fresh fruits and vegetables is a good business to be in. We currently support about 212 districts with about 430 schools that are in favors. I heard conversation earlier about using favors. So for any school or any person in a school that wants to get linked up to favors, you would, you have to, the favor system is actually on the USDA's website, and it's tied into your e-authentication. So if you need to do such access for your other USDA programs, favors would fall right into that as well. Level 1 e-authentication, and that would allow you to bring up the catalog so that you can see all the produce items available under this contract. So the purpose of our contracts, the purpose of us even being in the program is to deliver high quality fruits and vegetables to your school. The USDA's goal naturally is to increase produce consumption in the school lunch program, and mutually we try to use as much locally grown produce as possible. So the vendors, when they're awarded a contract, know that local grown is a really important feature of the program, and they are encouraged to provide outreach to local producers and sources in the state or in areas adjacent to the state so that they can identify as much local grown as possible. They are also indicating where they buy the produce. When you log into the Favors catalog, you can see state of origin, so you can see where they're buying the produce that week. And naturally, it varies depending on season to season and state to state. So what we I was trying to look at sales real fast, and Nebraska has allocated about $3 million to the Favors program, and has spent about $2 million already so far this year. There's been over 84,000 cases of produce that were delivered in this school year. So what we're seeing in this world of COVID is requests for a lot of grab and go, the apples and oranges, of course, but also a lot of the prepackaged apple slices, orange slices, grapes in the bag, sliced celery, baby carrot sticks, things that can be placed in grab and go lunch meals, and to minimize production, having to work the food service. Now, I'm not exactly, it really varies from district to district, state to state. So I'm not sure what's working for you specifically, but what we're seeing across the nation is more of a trend toward pre-packed items so that they can just be placed in grab-and-go boxes for lunches, etc. The favor system. The favor system is really easy to use. It's logging on. It recognizes your log on. It names your school, and then it allows you to download the catalog and see what you want to order for that week. I heard someone talking about name changes. It might be easier now, but we've been adding school names every year for the last 25 years. So if a name has changed or a school has changed, an address has changed, a food service manager's name has changed, any of that, just reach out to your the account manager as identified in favors, and they can make those changes. That's not a problem. If something is spelled incorrectly or a name has changed, we absolutely can make those changes. Regarding points of contact, Karen is on the line, and I'm going to turn you over to her in a second. Chris Powell is the primary account manager, and I can provide his phone number and email to Beth after this call, and his backup is Jody Dector. Same thing, email and phone call. And Karen can give you her email and phone number as well, so that you have a couple different avenues when you need to reach out regarding anything related to your delivery on DoD. So with that, I don't know if I answered the questions, or how does diverting money. So what happens, and this happens almost on a weekly basis. If the school or district has any questions about their money, USDA recommends that the district go to the state and say, I can't use all this money, or I need more money, or whatever. And the state, has access to favors and can make the change in favors. If you're asking for overall more money, the state can go into USDA David Leggett. We work primarily with Kathy Staley's office. So if you're familiar with Kathy and Linda Blair and David, they can handle any of your requests for money, and then they let us know so that we can make the change at the state allocations in favor. So DoD doesn't give you money, or we can change your money, but only if you're approved. And the chain of command is for you to talk to your state, the state talk to USDA, and then USDA will talk to us. So because after all, it is your USDA dollars, and it's not DoD money. So we don't want that. Sometimes gets confused. But we change money all the time, so that's really not a problem. And how do you order from DoD, and who do you contact? Okay, so you're ordering in favors, and we talked a little bit about getting access to favors. And if there's still questions, I'm going to provide you the points of contact, because there absolutely should be not a problem with that. But your best step is to get into the favors website on the USDA link and start there. And then if something goes wrong, absolutely call the points of contact, and I'll put my name and number in there too, to report any kind of problem with the produce. We're not going to pay that vendor for bad produce. So you order the food, you see what you're ordering, you're expecting it to come in, and it's really, we need your eyes and ears to report if there's any problems upon delivery, because that's how we adjust the records and make sure we pay the vendor properly. And we need to know if you ordered, 25 cases worth of produce and you only got 19, we're not paying the vendor for what he didn't deliver. So that's all part of contract administration, which we do back in Philadelphia. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Karen. Karen, please fix whatever I might have messed up.
No.
Karen.
Well, what I'm going to stress with what Pat just said is the system has been modified over the years, which is actually more beneficial to the customer, because now as you place that order, You are in control of receipting that order once it's delivered. So until that delivery has been confirmed, the vendor will not be able to be paid. But in that respect, you've got so many days after the delivery to receipt it before you get on the list of past due receipts. But, and this is pretty standard for all vendors, if you have a discrepancy, whether it is a shorted item, it is a damaged item, it is a poor quality, any of the above must be reported within 24 hours of delivery. In particular, a lot of times a delivery can be made at lunchtime. Sometimes they'll either, or they're late in the day. Within 24 hours of when that delivery is made, somebody needs to go through that. If something is caught, we need to get that reported back, because what's going to happen, you're going to go in and receipt this delivery and say, oh, this was a bad quality item. Well, it didn't go any farther than the receipt, and the vendor has a signed invoice. We need to make sure, now, if it is caught when the delivery is made and you annotate it and the driver takes that copy back, you go in and make your correction, then everything should flow through. But we need to make sure if you identify something within 24 hours after the delivery, once that delivery's been signed for, we need to ensure that the vendor is aware of that, and we're not going to have any problems getting you credit or identifying any issue that you may have. Especially if you've got a quality issue, then that allows the vendor to go back and make sure that he doesn't have any more stock in-house so that it doesn't go out to anyone else. But that one seems to be the largest one, the really crucial as far as confirming the quality once you have it receipt and the count. But as far as the rest, going into place orders, one thing to remember, you're going to have, if you're new to the program, if you have a question, you go in and you say, well, I don't see this item, or I don't see that item. Namely, you will never see bananas, you will never see pineapple. This time of year, you are not going to see grapes, you are not going to see watermelon, cantaloupe, honeydew. These are all offshore. They are non-domestic at this time. So what I tell a lot of the schools when they do go into place an order, if they've got a commercial account as well as their DoD account, to go in and place their DoD first, then they're going to be able to see, well, if these items are not on the catalog, then that means they're not available to use your DoD funds, because those items should not be available if they are not of domestic origin. And that is one of the key factors with the USDA funds. And that way, then, once you have that order placed, then you know what you're going to need to order in off of your commercial supplier, just so that you don't, to eliminate being shorted product at that time. And right now, with what Pat had mentioned on this curbside ordering, due to the time of year, it's mainly apple slices and the baby carrots. I know a lot of them, they're trying to get those individual packs. If not, then a lot of the schools are going just for the whole items. At least then they're able to provide product for the kids. But due to the domestic availability, that's why you're not going to see the packages of grapes or lunch bunch or anything else right at this point. And with Greenberg, they do, when school first begins, they do have the cantaloupe, honeydew, watermelon, the cut up items that they offer. But right now, like I said, with the time of year it is, you're going to see more basic items available. And it's not because they don't want to provide it, it's because they are not allowed to, not under this program. When you're following through, it is a very simple system. When you go in to place an order, and then you bring up your delivery day, and Greenberg does have, when you go in to place your order now, you're going to see a delivery day highlighted. So if you're not sure what your delivery day is, they have gone in and done that, identified when their trucks are in your particular area. If you have a question on that, you can always email. There's an option on here to email your account specialist. And this is one good one to rely on for the simple fact, Chris, and I'm on that distribution as well, but Chris Powell, Jody, myself, and the North Central team is all on that distribution list, so that if someone is out of the office, someone will see your request. So that is a real good option to use if you have a question, and it can be anything at all, and somebody will get back and respond to you. But going in to place it, then as you scroll down, you're going to see all the items available. You're going to put in your case counts. You're going to add items to cart, and you are going to look at your order. If everything looks good, you're going to proceed to checkout. And one thing to remember, always confirm. I try and get everybody to print a copy of their order once it's completed. But do not do that until you have hit that confirm button, because it's going to come across in big red letters. Your order is not placed until confirmed. If you print it and then you back out without confirming it, that order is going to disappear. The vendor's never going to see it. And if you're not sure if you did confirm it, log into the system. Always hit your view and order. It's going to give you a history of all the current and previous orders you have placed. So that will tell you whether you have one in place or not. And then, as we said, once that order is placed, 72 hours out, the vendor will download your order. So if you go in to say you want to modify it and you're going to say, oh, my order's gone, if your order has disappeared and it is locked into the system, once the vendor downloads it, if you need a modification, you can use this email account specialist, or you can email any one of the three of us individually and say, hey, I forgot to order this, or I need to add something on, or I need to pull something off. We can go in, we can modify, we can follow that through, get it to the vendor, send you a copy so that that can get updated if you need to. And then once your delivery day arrives, then you confirm the delivery, you confirm the receipt. Once you have, and if everything comes in as is, optimum, you will process your pending receipt. Once it has a date stamp and it has your name on there, even though it remains on there for 5 days, don't worry. You've already done what you need to do. After those 5 days, it's going to drop off. And that means it's going to then go into a pay status to the vendor. So as long as you have done that, you're good to go. And like I said, at time of delivery, always check the product. And granted, you're not going to check, sometimes something could slip through. It's produce. It's living and breathing. So just do the best you can. And if you're doing that, the vendor is good to work with in a circumstance if something kind of hits you from left field. But as long as you are doing all of that, and those are touching base with everything, everything should go very smoothly. Now, one nice thing with this as well, with you being in control of your receipts, if when you're receiving something in and you see that you have been shorted an item, it's a two-step system now. In the past, somebody would say, okay, I didn't get this, and they would forget to change the quantity. Or somebody would say they didn't get this, but they'd forget to say why. So now, if you do have a change that you need to make on your receipt, you're going to change your quantity, and then you go over to your drop-down box and you want to identify the reason why you're making this change. Otherwise, you will see an error message. But as long as you do both of those steps, it will process your pending receipt. And the good thing with this, it automatically puts your money back into your budget. so that we'll update it at that time. In the case where you run out of funds, if a school comes to me, I direct them to Chad, because I don't know what the budget is within the state. He has to be able to identify that to any particular school district. And I know last year he had mentioned of opening it up, and we did that early, and it was to benefit the rest of the schools, but that is entirely Chad's call. I checked with him last year, so, you know, whenever he gives the word, then that can be opened up. But until then, each school is only going to see their designated budget. And so if they do need to request more money, or if they want to see if they can push more funds over to the DoD program, that is his call. I don't have any authority with that. But and there should be product news flashes in here. Try and get the vendor to update anything that may be going on in the market. Trying to get it, to keep it updated. Some of them may be outdated. I'm trying to think. Other than that, is there anything, Pat? Did I miss something? I don't know if I've missed anything. Maybe if you have any questions.
We do have a
Karen?
couple questions.
Okay.
Oh, go,
Uh-huh.
Pat. Go ahead.
No, the only thing I was going to say is, Karen, did you talk about how you can't place a new order until you receipt the old order? I think you covered that, right?
Okay. Well, that goes in with your receipting, because what happens is if it's within that time frame, multiple orders, say some schools have more than one delivery a week, and that's usually in, say, the Omaha area or Lincoln area, where the public schools, they can get, sometimes some of the schools get 2 deliveries a week. If those are not receipted within that 7 days, you go in to try and place an order, and it's not going to allow you. If you have a past due status on a receipt, you're going to have to clear out that receipt before it will allow you to place a new order. But if you do, at time of delivery, check it within 24 hours and try and get that receipted at least within 48. You will never come up on that. But if you do see that where it's not allowing you to place an order, then please go check your receipts, because most likely you have one that's outdated. And during the holidays, I try and keep in touch with the vendor, like through the winter break and stuff, when people are away from school and unable to get those orders receipted. I have them send me signed delivery tickets so that I can see what was actually signed for before I receipt anything. And the only time I do that is if we're unable to get in touch with the school. So if you keep that, if you're doing that on a regular basis, because sometimes some schools go every other week, or for whatever reason they decide to skip a week, it's going to go into a past due status. And then you will see that. But if you are following your check marks and checking the product, receipting it within those 2 days, you will never see that message come up. But if you do, you haven't done anything wrong, other than the system needs to know, did you receive this delivery, and did you receive everything that you ordered? And that is confirming, and it's a safeguard for you guys.
Thanks, Karen.
Okay.
Okay, I think we will wrap things up. Thank you so much to Pat and Karen for speaking with us today. It was a privilege to have you both on here. This is awesome, and we hope that we'll be able to do it another time when we have a lot more time. So thank you so
I'm sorry,
much.
I talked too long.
No, that's okay. That's okay. We have just are crunched on time, and we're hoping that
I
Because
got
I
you.
talked to Pat already about coming back for some other training. So we will get you hooked with that. I
Great.
think
Thank you.
we have, do we have any questions?
We can
I
just
think-
move to our panel.
Yeah.
So let's go to the next slide. And Allie, do you want to talk about our panel of experts?
Yes, thank you, Sean. So up next, we have some more guests that are going to talk about ordering considerations. We have several speakers. Deb Danner is with the education segment at Key Impact Sales. We also have Mark Shinek with Reese Foods, Kevin Regan with Reinhardt Food Service, Steve Munch with Cashway, and Randy Wallace with US Foods. I'm going to give each of you a couple moments to introduce yourself and share with us, any expected changes with ordering and deliveries, any trends or upcoming insights you can give us. That would be great. You want to start with Deb? I see you're on here. You can go ahead and start us out. Thanks.
Hi, guys. I'm Deb Danner from Key Impact. I'm the education sales specialist for the state of Nebraska. And most of you guys know who I am. But I represent quite a few K-12 manufacturers. I'll kind of run a little list here. And then after I talk, I do have one manufacturer that's on the call now. It'll be the next speaker, Mark Schneck from Reese Foods, who does, Reese Foods does all the tornadoes that you guys are familiar with, and some great El Monterey brand products. But Mark will talk about those, and I will talk about, I'll go ahead and list the manufacturers. I have Cargill Sunny Fresh, Cargill Shady Brook Farms Turkey, Idahoan, McCain Potatoes, Mission Tortillas, Muffintown, who has muffins and some sweetbread loaves, some cornbread products, Sunwise sandwiches. And then I also have Marzetti pre-cooked pasta, New York Bakery breadsticks, which you guys I'm sure are familiar with, and Sister Schubert's rolls. I have Trident Seafoods, Wells Blue Bunny. I have Sun Opta, and that's, and you guys may have seen the strawberries, the frozen strawberry cups, which is under the Sunrise Growers name. And then they also, Sun Opta also makes the Sunrich Growers sunflower seeds that are single serve. And some of you guys probably use some of those products there throughout this COVID. I also have Sun Butter, and that's my manufacturers. And, after the initial crunch of COVID, where, the distributors were stuck with so much inventory, and they've kind of went through that inventory to reduce it. And we're really back on track as far as not having as many shortages from what I know of, and the distributor people that are on the call can update you on that. I did get with my manufacturers. They do not foresee any issues going through the remainder of COVID. It will help if we knew any forecasting information. I know Key Impact has kept the manufacturers up to date with all the largest school districts on, if they're going on a hybrid model, if they're remote, if they're going 100%, we update them weekly. They all know, which schools are remote and which ones are 100%. And they don't foresee an issue, but of course, forecasts going back into the next school year would be greatly appreciated. And the only issue that I have for a manufacturer is the strawberry cups from Sun Opta under the Sunrise Growers brand. there's been a shortage of frozen strawberries, so they're not going to be able to manufacture those this next school year. But other than that, I don't know of any shortages, at least on the manufacturer side. And I don't know if anybody has any questions for me.
Deb, we'll just move on. And Mark, if you would like to tell us what you anticipate, that'd be great. And if our participants just want to enter their questions in the chat, that would be wonderful too. So thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate the opportunity to be with you. And Deb, thank you for all the work you do for us in the market, in the Nebraska market. Yes, I'm Mark Schneck. I'm the sales manager for Reese Food Products. And just a little quick update about our company. You know, we're privately held, third generation food manufacturer out of Dinuba, California, with 2 additional plants, one in Texas and a new plant that we purchased about 2 years ago in Florence, South Carolina. So it's very exciting, and we're continuing to grow. We're about 6% retail, about 40% food service as a mix. And we entered the school food service business, the K-12 arena, about 5 years ago. And we just appreciate all the business we've gotten from our folks throughout the country on our products. And a lot of what we try to do is bring quality products to the marketplace, to the K-12 marketplace at a reasonable cost. And a lot of these are formulas that go many years back within our organization that we brought to the food service arena, especially the K-12, and it's been a great success for us. So, you know, I'd like to give you a little bit of an idea of what we see from a manufacturing standpoint. Our biggest problem right now, honestly, is labor and line time. So, you know, we fight we have to fight to get line time for food service. And it's particularly difficult right now because everybody knows that retail is just continuing to rage as far as volume, and you know, it's growth that's unprecedented than anything we've ever seen in the last 10 years in this business. So, you know, and just in the retail area. So, you know, that's a big area for us. And getting labor right now is very difficult too. So we run into times when we cannot produce as much product as we would like, but we knock on wood that we've been able to meet the demand. And I think that's really key to what we've been trying to do. So yeah, it's been difficult. And some of the issues that we do run into right now too is that the schools are in such a flux that we're trying to be able to keep up with what is really going on. Part of it was a very slow start going into the school year because the distributors had a lot of product already in the warehouse. And at the same time, were very difficult to give us forecasts, which they normally do, as to what kind of demand they needed. So, you know, it's hard for us to gear up a line. We almost kind of have to guess at what we think it's, you know, what the volume is going to be. And hopefully, you know, we can make enough product to meet that. So yeah, so it's been a slow start, but we're starting to see it coming out of the woods, so to speak. Things are getting better right now. You know, the retail is starting to level out. It's allowing us much more time to participate in food service production, and we're starting to see food service slowly come back. You know, it's spotty across the country as well. You know, some areas are virtual, some are 1 week on, 1 week off. Many are in a remote serving situation as well. So that changes a lot of what we have to do. But overall, we've been able to meet the marketplace at this point. And one of the things that we do struggle with right now is what role we should play right now as far as our sales relationship. You know, we don't want to get in your way as food service directors right now. We know you have so much on your plate. So, you know, we've been looking back to say, hey, you know, we're here to help you, but we just don't want to come knock on your door and show you something that you don't need. So right now we're just in that position of saying, hey, we want to support your business on a day-to-day basis. And we're here to help. And just real quick, a couple of products and a couple of things that have changed in the market. We've seen a major shift to IW right now, individually wrapped, prepackaged, obviously. And a lot of that is based on the remote feeding. And so that's been a big shift to us because we have to go ahead and reschedule our lines to be able to produce to demand. And we just seen a very strong push towards the individually wrapped. But we do have a strong business. Our taquitos are very big for us right now. They'll be coming with sleeves in the box in the next couple of months. And of course, you probably all know about our tornadoes, which have been a great success. And, we do a lot in the C-store business. And about 3 or 4 years ago, we were able to enter the food service market with a K-12 product. So it's been a really strong opportunity for us in the products that we sell right now. So I guess the bottom line is we've gone from some really tough times as far as the K-12 business, but we really feel like it's starting to get over the hump here, and we think it's starting to come back to normal. So we're hoping that the 2021 school year will be as successful as the previous ones.
Thank you, Mark. That was very informative for everyone to share that with us. I'm going to go ahead and move right on to the next speaker so we can keep things moving. Is Kevin, are you on with us?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. I'll go ahead and take it. Well, my name is Kevin Regan. I'm the Vice President of Procurement for Reinhart Omaha. We're actually part of the Performance Food Group. Now we were acquired by Performance last year, so a lot of us still know us by Reinhart, but we are technically Performance Food Service. So a little bit about what's going on the purchasing side, and that's what I'll speak to. It has been obviously a challenging year for all of us, whether you're in the school business or you're a food service operator or in distribution or in manufacturing. And things have greatly improved, I would say, in the last several months as manufacturers have kind of gotten back to a little bit more of a normal routine as far as manufacturing and been able to adjust their business based on volumes, whether it's retail business or whether it's food service business. So really, as we sit here today, while we still have some challenges in different categories of products, example would be pan spray products. So those manufacturers that produce pan spray is still a struggle. There's a demand for those kind of products. And so we've been challenged with keeping up with products in stock and trying to move within different brands to take care of customers' business. Meat processing facilities have gotten better, but they still struggle. And when I say struggle, where the normal used to be to have orders filled coming into us as a distributor of 98 to 98% fill rate, many times we're seeing anywhere from 88 to 90% fill rate, sometimes a little bit less depending on the types of products. But meat processors, whether they're beef, pork, poultry, still struggle at times with trying to manufacture the amount of pounds or the amount of products that they need to put through the system. And it's really a function of they can't produce as many pounds anymore given with the same work staff that they have. Because they're distancing, they have had to make changes within their business, and they just can't, the output is greatly restricted. So we still struggle as it relates to certain particular categories, and it changes from manufacturer to manufacturer. So the Hormel might have an issue for a few weeks and they get better, and then it might be Smithfield. So regardless of what's going on, I think it's affected everybody in that situation. Any category that has to do with packaging as it relates to go business. So some of our cutlery kit products and manufacturers, to-go containers have still been a struggle to be able to buy product and have orders filled in a timely manner. So it'll get better, and then it'll slip back, and we'll struggle with that despite trying to increase order size and get enough product in here. Food gloves continue to be a struggle. Nitrile gloves are basically sold out through the balance of this year. So we found our company has found different options to move into, and the vast majority of those products are produced overseas. So the lead time of getting those products made is tremendous. And obviously we've seen price increases from our suppliers go up significantly in the last 6 to 8 months on those kind of products. So, fill rates from different products, different manufacturers continue to be a struggle, although they have gotten better. I would say our school customers have been very good as far as working with and been able to accept substitutions where we need to. So if there's something that's coming up on a menu and they want to buy a certain type of waffle or corn dog or whatever the case might be, that may not be available from that manufacturer, but we try to find something that does work. And our school customers that we service have been very, very flexible and very good to work with during this situation. So the one thing that we have, I think, learned is that every week's a little different, and we've had to adapt based on what the situation looks like within the school segment as we've gone throughout the school year, whether it's some kind of a split situation or 30-40% of the kids working from home, learning from home, that type of thing. So it's been something that we've had to adopt as we've gone throughout the year. So we are looking forward to things as they kind of wind up this semester, hopefully getting back to a normal situation and, starting off the fall semester here as we get down the road here. So really that is, from our standpoint, that's kind of how I look at it. Again, we've been very fortunate. We've got some great partners with some of the customers that we are fortunate to service, and we appreciate everything that they've been able to do to work with us during these trying times. So I'd be welcome to open up any questions. I don't have a ton of specific information, but I'll be happy to help answer anything that might pop up in the chat room.
Thank you, Kevin. We appreciate you coming on today. If anyone has any questions, put them in the chat box, and we're going to move right on to Steve.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Steve Munch with Cashway Distributing. I've been at Cashway about 7 years and pretty much handle everything, I guess, school related through our distribution business. A lot of the things that I have to say, some of them might be a little bit of reiteration from what Kevin just stated, but some of the things that we've experienced and obviously you've experienced from our end, we did have a nice, I guess, rebound or a catch up on a lot of the inventory that we were, I guess, stuck with, back in March. I call it Friday the 13th in March was kind of D-Day last year when COVID hit and all the orders started canceling and so on. South Dakota, I think, was the first state to shut down schools. So we were able to burn through most of that inventory. Obviously, the changes that have happened throughout this year and early on back in March, April, May, June, July, there's a huge shift from bulk products to individually wrapped products, from non-disposable items, your everyday trays and plates and so on and so forth, to styrofoam and paper and that type of thing, disposable, and then from normal service to either curbside, grab and go, or some sort of spread out service throughout the throughout the school and not just the cafeteria. And there's still a lot of that going on, depending upon which district you talk to and where the hot spots are and so on and so forth. But one of the things that I like to mention too is that our inbound rates normally run in the high 90s, as Kevin mentioned, and we've seen it as low as 85% on some inbound. And unfortunately, some of the manufacturers with some of the issues, a lot of times we may get a truck show up and we won't even know that a product's not even on there until they unload. So there's been a lot of that, and that's not the norm in the distributor and manufacturer world. A lot of the manufacturers have had to do what they've called SKU rationalization. And so, let's just take a large company that might have 100 different types of school or chicken, processed chicken. They take maybe 20 or 30 of them that just don't sell as well and focus on producing the ones that do sell. And so therefore, if you happen to be one of the schools that use the 20 that they eliminated, you're forced to find another product. So, take that times, 15 or 20 different manufacturers, and you might find yourself trying to find a lot of different products, and we do too, to try and fill those needs. But I think they are starting to recuperate, and obviously the factories have to social distance. They can't produce as much. A lot of them had to make the shift from focusing on bulk products to individually wrapped products, and that's a shift in how they manufacture, how they package, and a lot of them have done a fantastic job of doing that, but it took a while to catch up. And on that note, going into the future, I hope and pray that school opens normal in as much as normal can be in August, but I still anticipate that, just from the relationships and conversations I've had with our manufacturer and broker partners, that we'll probably still see some fallout, and trying for manufacturers trying to catch up and revamp and retool things to catch up even through the end of 2021. I may be wrong in a lot of cases, but it just, these manufacturing companies just can't turn on a dime like that. But anyway, I call it the flavor of the day as to what really tends to be an issue. And if it isn't plastic or vinyl or latex gloves, then it's foam plates or trays that we can't get. At one time it was sliced meats. We couldn't get enough of sliced meats. Then when you get that fixed, then it's cutlery kits. You just can't keep up because of the demand. Or PCs, for a while we couldn't hardly even get ketchup packets or keep enough in stock to get packets, but I think we've recovered from that. And again, I have to say kudos to the manufacturers, because they've done a good job of really trying to ramp it up so that they can provide those products for us to get them out to you. So the other thing that I see has happened, which most of you are obviously well aware of it, but a lot of our a la carte programs have suffered, and because a la carte sales are, either you may not be doing them at all because you're trying to eliminate, contact and passing on the virus and so on, or it's not as broad of a program as you may have had. And in most schools, that's a great source of revenue, and obviously it's a good source of sales for us as well. And when I look at some of the sales of some of the a la carte specific items, smart snack items this year, sales as compared to last year, we're way down. So obviously I know that some of the schools are, reflecting that as well. So, I would hope that, going into school year 21, 22, we can bring a la carte back, and that can continue to be a good, a nice program for our students, but a nice source of revenue for schools. But anyway, I think that's about all I have. And as always, I'd entertain any questions, or I'm always available if you have, you want to email me, call me, and always happy to work with anybody. So thank you all.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate that update. And we have Randy left for our panel. Randy, are you with us?
I sure am. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. I see a lot of awful familiar names on the list of participants on here. So, but for those that don't know me, my name is Randy Wallace. I am the segment manager for the education channel and a couple other segments within our business. I have a team of people that handle the education channel on the Brown Box USDA side, as well as our K through 12 program. And I think most of you have either worked with Julie or Marlene or Eric out there. So that's pretty much our team. I think Kevin and Steve did a great job of talking about, the same issues that US Foods is experiencing with the changes to the menu items and labor shortages due to COVID and so on and so forth. Some of the things that affect, a business like ours is trying to manage the delivery along with, filling the trucks and getting on-time deliveries. That's probably been a hot button for me this year, and I know it's been a hot button for a lot of schools. It doesn't work to get a delivery at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, but when you're down 14 drivers, got to figure out how to get that stuff to make it work. And I really appreciate all the schools working with us trying to make sure that we get, you know, an on-time delivery for you and work through some of the changes that we've had to make. You know, one of the things that I'm constantly doing is working with our procurement side of our business, trying to look for manageable subs to offset things like, you know, fruit cups and Crustables, mozzarella cheese sticks. These are such hot button items that are in such great demand and poor supply. So we're constantly looking for that. And what we have on hand for our schools, I try and make sure that it's comparably priced, comparably packaged, and, you know, quality products. So trying to really do that stuff as well. One of the things that I know Beth had mentioned is whatever we can do to help each other. And I think any big polls on some of that stuff, forecasting could be a really good, helpful idea. If anyone knows that, you know, I'm going to need for my menu item, you know, 30 cases of something, or you know, anywhere in that neighborhood, be wonderful to you know, let one of our reps know what is going on, or email myself and let us know. But with 500 schools in the state, it's pretty hard to canvass everybody's menu and to, you know, get forecasts for the items that you're using on a day-to-day and week-to-week basis. So I see there's a question that came up. It's ordered a lot of switch drinks, special order, and others not. And since they count as a food, the kids would rather drink them. Let me check on that. I don't have direct lines with Switch, but I believe it's a manufacturer issues where some of the raw materials that come in to the manufacturer are in plentiful supply, and they can go ahead and make you know, certain selections of that drink, and then other raw materials might not be as readily available. I think that's the issue with that on that. Okay, so just like Steve, Kevin, all of us, you know, if there's questions that you would like to get onto the chat portion, let us know. We're working very hard, like I said, on the transportation piece to tie in your USDA orders along with your commercial NOI products to get all those delivered on a very reasonable time frame. So I think that's other than that, I think everybody's kind of spoke the same language on where we are with the industry at this point. So.
Well, thank you so much, Randy, and thank you to all the panel for speaking on ordering considerations for this year and next and updating us. That was very helpful. As we've mentioned several times, if you have additional questions, put them in the chat box, and hopefully, I'm not sure if we'll get time today, but we're just going to keep moving along so that we can get through the rest of our slides.
Thanks, Allie. We're going to move on to info you need to know now. And probably the most important is that the new summer food service program reimbursement rates have been released. They're on our website under quick links. The rates increased as of January 1st for the summer food service program. And I have listed the new reimbursement rates on the slide. So be aware of that. And next slide. I also want to let you know that there has been a set of new question and answers released by USDA. That release was on January 5th. You can find those Q&As on the Nutrition Services website. It's under the Nutrition Services homepage. If you click on the National School Lunch Program, Summer Food Service Program, it will take you to the link for the question and answers. And as we move on to the next slide, just some important answers that were addressed in those Q&As. And this is just a brief summary of the Q&As. Please go out and read through the document when you have time. But in the Q&As, SFA should continue to make free and reduced eligibility determinations throughout the school year, just as you have been doing. because although students are receiving their meals free through the summer food service program, if that is the program you are currently participating in, determining eligibility is important because it may have an impact on the PEBT benefits in the future, which are those SNAP benefits that are being made available to students that qualify for free and reduced meals. The next item that I thought was important to mention was the sample size of approved applications as of October 1st must be used when you conduct your verification activities. So once again, you're using your sample size of applications as of October 1st for verification activities. There is information in the Q&As regarding the state level, which would be our office on determining the dates of data to be used in determining eligibility for severe need breakfast determinations and eligibility for the fresh fruit and vegetable program for next year and equipment grants that will be released. And so that's state level information that we have available that we can look at. And then the last bullet I want to talk about that's important in the Q&As goes along with verification. And just a reminder, the verification report in the CMP system, that is the system where you report the results of verification, that report must be submitted or completed by February 28th. So next month, the end of next month, that report has to be completed in CMP. So next slide, Allie. Well, with that being said, there is an error on the verification report that was discovered by some of our SFAs. And so what is that error? Well, we have a new line on the verification report, line 3-5, where we are actually asking you to report the number of students that are directly certified for Medicaid reduced meals. That is new to the report this year. And so you report that number in the verification report. And ideally, when you add 3-5 with 4-3, that should equal the total of reduced eligibility students. And unfortunately, the report is not picking up line 3-5. And it is in the works to be fixed. It probably will not be fixed before the verification report has been, is due to be submitted, and just complete the report with the error. So we're aware of it, and if you discover when you do the report that does not add up to your total, that is fine. We just want to eliminate some of your questions as you discover the error when you complete the report. We are aware of it. So moving on to the next slide. Please continue to notify nutrition services of any new food service directors, claim contacts, or authorized representatives that you would want to make sure that you're marking that box in your application, and let us know so we can reach out to those individuals. And we know that transitions happen mid-year, and we just need to be aware of those so that we can reach out to those individuals. And of course, there's training available on our website for bookkeepers and for food service managers. Moving on to the next slide. The Department of Education offices, which are currently located on the 6th floor of the state office building, and we're included in those offices, we will be relocating to outside of the state office building. So we are in the process of packing up our area for our March 1st deadline to be out of the state office building. And there will be a delay in moving into our new space, and we do not have a firm move-in date set yet. And so we will be somewhat in transition until we are able to move into our new location. We continue to work remotely, but I am just bringing this to your attention right now that we appreciate your understanding as we do transition to our new location. So if there may be somewhat or a little bit or a slight lapse in communication or requests for information or materials that you are requesting, that is why, because we are going to be in transition for a little bit until we move into our new office space. Next slide. And please mark your calendars as the next Serving Up Great School Meals is scheduled for February 3rd. So put that on your calendars. That's in about 2 weeks. We will be having our next Serving Up Great School Meals. So I'm going to go ahead and pass this on to Sarah, and she's going to talk to you about farm to school efforts.
Hi everyone, this is Sarah, and we'll just go through just a couple of things that I want to make sure are on your radar, and we'll send some information out in our NSLP newsletter as well, so you have links to these things. But we were awarded a USDA Farm to School grant in July of 2020, and part of that grant's focus is to create a Nebraska Farm to School Institute that will be offering in June of 2021. What we have to work with will be bringing on up to 8 school level teams that could represent either a district or a site, depending on what works for that site and district. But our application process, it will be a competitive process or competitive application to participate in the Institute. That will open early February and will be available as a link on our website. And the purpose of the Institute is not only to provide education and workshops, but to really provide a scenario for local level teams to come together and work on a plan of action for developing a farm to school program or growing a farm to school program that already exists in your school district or at a site in your district. There will be a requirement for the Institute, and it will be on the RFA or the application when you work to fill it out. And that is that you do need to have committed team members already determined that will participate in the Institute. And then within the next school or the next year, where you will implement your farm to school projects and plans. And on that team, you can have any number of people. Ideally, a great number is 5 or 6 folks to work on a team, but at a minimum, there does need to be a school level administrator and a food service, likely the manager or director, and someone from Extension, an educator or a professional from the University Extension. And we can help connect you to Extension professionals if you don't have a connection already. But it's an opportunity to reach out to them, and we'll be working directly with the university on this project. We've already started having quarterly calls with Extension educators to bring them up to speed on farm to school as a whole. So we're really excited. We'll have funds for projects as you develop over the course of the year as you implement projects and your plan, and we'll have coaches available, technical assistance throughout the process. So a lot more details are coming, but start thinking now, just within the next couple of weeks, we'll have the application open, and we'd love to have many of you joining us at that Institute and working on that, the teams, and we can't wait to see how it goes and where we grow next. So keep a lookout for that. Again, we'll include that information. I'll send it out in an email to all schools once it is open. All right, next, an event that we're really excited to be partnering in the planning on the next slide, Allie. We have our Nebraska Regional Food Systems Summit coming in a couple of weeks in February. The link there will get you to the registration box so that you can register for the different topics that you're interested in learning about. So I've been really working closely on the Feeding the Future with Farm to School breakout session. And that one will actually start with a quick introduction from a state senator, Senator Brandt, who brought together a task force of 23 different Nebraska farm to school leaders, including some of our school food service directors. And they worked on a report that provided recommendations to the senator or to leaders in our state for moving farm to school forward in Nebraska. He then took those recommendations and last week announced a bill that was just referred to the Education Committee at the legislature. So he's going to introduce that project, and that'll set us up for the rest of that 2-hour session where we'll hear from a keynote speaker from the Virgin Islands who's extremely dynamic and really inspiring. So I'm excited about that. And then also joining us will be Mary Carmen from Gering Public Schools, who's done a lot of work with local producers and processors and bringing local foods onto her menu. That's a picture there above that February 10th date from her kitchen. And then we'll also hear from Omaha Nation Public Schools in Macy about 7 acres of land that their students are growing on and some tribal efforts that are coordinating with the horticulture program at the university. So there's lots of great stuff happening in our state, and there's lots to hear about, and you can learn more at that website. But I encourage you to try and I know it's a terrible time for schools. That's what we got with the speakers we had. So some of that will be recorded. Some of it will also be breakout sessions. We'll be discussing the future of a network in our state. But I encourage you to stay in touch with that summit and learn more by going to that website. And then last, but not least, is our move, if you want to change slides, Allie, our move from the state office building is pushing me to let you all know that this is pretty much last chance for you to receive our Harvest of the Month kits. And we'd like to see schools that haven't already requested toolkits do so before February 10th if you're interested. I have 20 toolkits remaining that can be sent out to you free of charge. If you've already requested and received a toolkit, we do have some updates because we added we added carrots and apples. And so we have new posters, new trivia cards that are laminated, and new wearable stickers that we're going to send out to you. So you can be expecting that in the next month or so. And again, if you haven't requested a Harvest of the Month toolkit, we have a link that I think Donna might be putting in the chat box. If not, sorry, Donna, I can do it. Got it right here. But I encourage you to go to this link to request a toolkit. You're not required to do anything in particular with the program, but the materials are really quite beautiful, and there's lots of good direction on how to use these 11 different local products that are available in Nebraska, including recipes and more. So feel free to reach out with questions, but we would love to share the wealth of these materials and get them out of our offices and into your schools. So also we do have some framed posters from Harvest of the Month that we've had hanging in our offices because they're so beautiful. Because we won't have the space to necessarily hang them, we are going to pass these items along to folks in a giveaway. So if you put your name in the chat box, you will automatically be entered to this giveaway where we will be able to send a handful of folks some of these framed posters that showcase local Nebraska products in our farm to school programs. So I think that covers what I needed to say about that. Yeah, and we can skip past this slide, I think, Allie. This is from Nebraska Thursdays, and we'll just cover that next time. And I think that I just want to say one, just to wrap up that section, just make sure if you are interested in receiving Harvest of the Month toolkits, including posters, stickers, and trivia cards, there's a simple form to fill out in the link that I entered in the chat box. So make sure you go there so that we can get those materials out to folks. Thank you.
I think we have one question in the chat box. It's a quickie, and I think Katie is on the line to maybe answer this. What is the status of reimbursement funding shortages? Katie was here earlier.
I'm here.
Oh, there you are. So do you want to answer the question?
Sorry, I didn't hear it. You'll have to repeat it, Donna.
Oh, okay. Sounds like maybe you're kind of busy. What is the status of reimbursement funding shortages?
Yeah, thank you. I'm sorry that I didn't hear it. We know
That's
that the December SFSP claims funding has not yet arrived from the USDA. So I know that Fiscal is reaching out to the contact at the regional office today to see if there was any information or updates available on the status of that funding. And as soon as we know, we will try to post a message on the CNP website and send an email out to the school food authorities to let them know what that update is.
Thank you.
And Donna, I'm looking through the chat box as well, and it looks like we have a question for US Foods. Randy, if you're available.
I am still here.
Great. This question says, I had a couple boxes mislabeled from warehouse, had to send back and change my menu because it wasn't labeled right. Also, when I order certain amount and only received half because of this. Now, I don't know if that's necessarily a question or an FYI, but I'm reading it and passing it on to you.
And I have already written that question down to follow up on that. I see that is from Vicky. What school, Vicky, can you let me know what school that is? And we can go forward on that. I'm sure Vicky can answer that for me.
Super. And as I look through some more, I know that the question was brought up about the Switch beverage, and the comment was in the chat that provides fruit credit. And I wanted to clarify that Switch is approved as a smart snack compliant beverage for the appropriate grades, but it would not count as a fruit credit. So just wanted to give a little clarification there on Switch. It's a carbonated beverage.
And I just
yes.
want to mention that I answered Nelda's question because a couple of the raw material issues with grape and orange on Switch are in short supply. And so they moved those couple over to special order. All the rest of the flavors are available and in stock. So spoke to the manufacturer just the other day on that and hope to have that resolved real soon. But you're right, it doesn't qualify as that. It does as a fruit credit, but it's a good product for the schools, and we're trying to make sure we keep all that in stock for them.
Great.
Okay.
And just Gail said, well, I've already completed my verification report. Do I need to revise it because of the error I mentioned in the total for the reduced? And no, you do not need to revise it. You do not need to do anything. And in her question, she also brought up that she received her list of incorrectly identified DC students. And once again, you are using information as of October 1st for your verification sample pool. So that would not include that. We're not even looking at errors with the DC. We're looking at the number of applications. So that wouldn't even include any problems with DC. And Donna, Beth, anything else Now's such a great time. If you have any questions for our panel of experts, any particular products you're wondering about, if they're going to be in supply, please ask. We don't get experts very often on our serving up great school meals. Anything else? I see there's some new messages that came in. I'll give it just a little bit longer. Thank you all for your time and attention today. I know our Serving Up Great School Meals went a little bit longer, but now that we have moved to the monthly format of these meetings, I think we can just anticipate our meetings will be a little bit longer.
Sean, there are a couple of questions for US Foods. How far ahead do we need to call US Foods to order products that have to be ordered ahead of time?
The answer to that varies by product, but it really depends on the lead time from the manufacturer and the amount of special orders that we get to place a PO for the product. But generally speaking, we are looking, if we get this from DOT, which is our main supplier of a lot of these items, we're looking at probably 3 to 5 days. So from the time it's ordered till it gets in and attached to the next delivery, would probably be the, from that first week to the next delivery.
Thank you. And the second question is mozzarella shredded cheese always available from US Foods?
We currently are working with 3 different suppliers. We have Frigo, we have Land O'Lakes, and the other one escapes me. It's sort of an off breed on that. All 3 manufacturers are having issues, but I am pleased to say that I've ordered 150 cases from our Kansas location, scheduled to arrive before the end of this week. So we should be able to fulfill the needs of the mozzarella string cheese, at least in the near future.
Awesome. It looks like right now, those are all the questions we have in the chat box.
Perfect. I just wanted to mention, if anyone has any questions they think of, I put my email address out there. I think I put it on there wrong the first time. It's randy.wallace@US Foods. And I would be more than happy to entertain any questions that might come up.
Any comments from any of our other panelists before we sign off? I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up for today. A big thank you for joining us, and we will see you at the next Serving Up Great School Meals on February 3rd.
Thank you all.